Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in again. I am your host today, Larry Rodarte, and we're here at the Alpha Media Studios at WSGW with Mi Gente on Air, another show that we're going to try to promote Latino culture, concerns, and contributions. And I've got a great guest tonight who has been a long time employee of Delta College. And I think her name goes synonymous with Delta College, I think, because she's been there a good 24 years. That's a long time, but she's done some great work for our kids in the area in terms of college students. And she's got a lot to talk about tonight with all the things that are happening with Delta College, from Hispanic Heritage Month events, as well as just her career and what she has done in the last 24 years. So please, if you've got a question, concern, feel free to put it on the chat room here, and let's ask Monica Hernandez questions tonight here on Mi Gente on Air.
Welcome to Mi Gente on Air on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com. Now, here is your host, Larry Rodarte.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Mi Gente on Air. I am your host, Larry Rodarte, and we are here at the WSGW Alpha Media Studios. And it's another edition of Mi Gente on Air, where we give you contributions, concerns, and culture of the Latinos in the Great Lakes Bay region. And I have a great guest today. She has been with Delta College for 24 years. Can you believe that? Recently, in the last few years, she has won the Martin Luther King Award for outstanding leader in the community, and that she is. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about what Delta College has been doing for Hispanic Heritage Month. They got a celebration this Saturday where they're going to celebrate Tejano music. And they also got the Dia de los Muertos celebration on November the 2nd, I believe it is. And we're going to talk about that. So there's so much to talk about. And I hope everybody's just really enjoying the leaves outside, because I'll tell you, I came up I-75 yesterday and it was just beautiful with the sun beaming, with the beautiful days that we've been having here, and the leaf color is just outstanding this year. So I hope you get out and about and you're able to see that, because probably next week the leaves will be starting to fall. So join us here today on Mi Gente on Air as we talk to Monica Hernandez from Delta College. Monica, how are you?
I'm doing good.
How you been? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has. It has. But just enjoying the weather. Today was 70. It was nice before the snow gets here, but just enjoying that, and today was a good day. So.
Monica, you have moved to the downtown location, correct? So you're downtown Saginaw with Delta College there. And what is your actual title?
So main campus, I worked with students with advising and personal counseling, and I took a position at the Downtown Saginaw Center, the assistant director. So I manage the building, the activities. We collaborate and partner with our community. We work with first generation students. I work with the EOC, helping students with financial aid, FAFSA. Just a lot of support and resources we offer at the Downtown Saginaw Center for our students.
And so your career has been really centered around young people and college education. And I got to say, you've recently had somebody very close to you graduate, correct?
Close to me. All my students are close to me. So which one? I'm sorry.
Well, you like you said, you've had many, and I see on your Facebook. I'm just going by your Facebook page, okay. And you had a young man there who, he had a football uniform on.
Football uniform.
You don't remember that, huh?
My son's a senior this year.
Is that what it was?
But he's a soccer, basketball, and track person. So I'm trying to remember.
Wow, your son is that old already?
Yes, he's my baby.
Wow. I
just did my age here, so I dated myself.
Well, hey, we said you've been at Delta College for 24 years, and you've really been that backbone for a lot of students. And I know that Cynthia Reyes, yourself, you've really put the work in, the grind, if you will, because we've gone through like the SOAR project with Delta
Mm,
College, and how many years ago was
wow.
that?
Wow. Yeah.
And so I'm familiar with your work. I'm familiar with you guys being involved as recruiters for Delta College, at Alsame through the
Mm-hmm. Yes.
years.
Yeah.
And so here you are 24 years later, and you're heading up, the program over there at the downtown office. What is it like working in downtown Saginaw now as opposed to Delta College at the
I
top?
love it. It's me. I'm with my people. I mean, I'll be honest. It's great. We get a lot of students that are first gen,
Mm-hmm.
and college can be a little intimidating. And going to main campus, if they can't get out there or they just don't know anybody, we provide welcoming atmosphere for our students. There, we do activities to engage them to make them part of, and that they belong there. So I love it. I mean, I should have done this a long time ago, but I didn't want to stop servicing students. And this position opened up and it had a component of still working with students. So I was like, okay, let's see what happens. So
So you got a new facility. I mean, it's a beautiful facility
it's,
downtown. It really is. We've had some meetings there. You got a new president that
yeah.
came in. I mean, you really have gone through the gamut in terms of change
Oh, yeah.
with your position and everything that's going on at Delta. How do you see Delta today in terms of um, how it actually interacts now in with our culture and heritage? Because I remember at one time, Dia de los Muertos was not something that was accepted readily,
Mhm.
across mainstream and on. Now that it is, here you got, your student group, they're going to have a Dia de los Muertos celebration, first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so tell me how that's kind of all come about and how it is as from when you started to today.
Um, well, we've had different presidents, different perspectives. Dr. Gavin has really moved our BEDI, belonging, equity, diversity, inclusion theme, and really just filtering through our academics, our faculty, our staff, the off campus, and really just promoting it and being okay to be talking about, um, you know, different cultures, what we bring to the table, that, closing those equity gaps. Um, and honestly, the biggest change in I feel when I'm in meetings, I can talk about those things and not feel like I'm the only one talking about it. So it's more accepted. And one thing I really have enjoyed with Delta is we really truly um, care about our students and want them to succeed, and having a better understanding of where they come from helps break down barriers for our students. And I just, with his leadership, it's been amazing. It really has. It allows all of us to be able to talk about, real stuff that our students are going through, and provide some change.
Mm-hmm.
We now have free transportation from the downtown Saginaw Center to main campus. If there's a barrier for students, they just got to show their student ID, and it goes directly to main campus with no charge.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, Delta for some is, way out there
yeah,
for some and not everybody. But so, it's nice to be able to provide that service for them. And it's nice to be able to have a downtown Saginaw campus. And like I said, the facility's gorgeous. It's beautiful there. And I am one, of course, who's going to be advocating for diversity, because I've gone through the gamut, as a student at MSU, as well as being involved with educators here in Saginaw under Project SOAR. Uh, and, some people have said through the years, diversity isn't a strong point. I just heard that on the radio the other day, and
wow.
I'm like, wow, they still don't get it. And I
Mm,
think wholeheartedly that diversity really does make us a greater community. And so I'll say that on the air. But anyways, so tell us about how active you have seen the students who are Hispanic at Delta College who have formed this group.
Well, we got some leaders, and actually Gabby Oliveras, she's the one who said, "Hey, Monica, can we do this?" And so I truly believe every opportunity is a teachable moment. And we had already planned out our Hispanic Heritage Month events, and we budgeted and everything. And I said, "Well, put a proposal together, give me a budget, and I'll go look for the money." And Dr. Pam McCross or Ross McLean, she is the chief officer of.
She's
Yeah,
awesome.
she is amazing.
We had her on the show way
Oh,
back when she
wonderful.
first came
Oh,
in. Yeah,
cool.
so
So, I approached her, and Gabby did a great job putting things together and resources and how much estimated everything. And Dr. Pam, we call her Dr. Pam. So she's like, "Great, let's do it." And I'm like, "Okay." So, Gabby and the Soul students have been great at posting these everywhere. So using social media, Roxanne Chandaka and her dad will be performing, and they're great.
oh yeah.
And then we've got some skulls that we purchased, and they're going to be doing painting. We're going to have some food, and it's just going to be a really relaxed event. But it was initiated by Soul and the leaders there. So,
And SOUL stands for Society of Hispanic Leaders,
yes,
correct?
yep.
Oh, I got that right, Jonathan. But yeah, and that's awesome because that group we have worked with at the at the Civica and the events at the Tamale Taste
Yeah.
Off, and I mean, how many years has that been? How long has
Oh,
that been in
wow.
existence? That group?
Well, it was La Raza. And then when I came on board, so it's their group, right? What they want to make of it,
Right,
and
right.
so they came up with this name. And then at that time we had some like Puerto Ricans, Dominican Republicans. I mean, so it was a variety. And then most of our community here is Mexican American, Chicano, I mean Texas, so Tex-Mex. I mean, they all have different experiences. So but honestly, we've had African American students be a part of this just because of I think is the unity,
The
the
family unity that you
yeah.
feel in these groups, yeah. And I want to talk to that as somebody who a long, long, long time ago went to Michigan State University, and we had a group similar. It was called CHISPA, Coalition of Hispanics
Oh, nice.
for, I forget now, Progressive Action or something like that. And it was really nice to fit in to have that group there when you're so far away from home,
Yeah.
and to have people who are similar to you and accept others from outside of your community as well, even non-Hispanics. And we did some great things, and I'm pretty sure it's still going on, and they have their offices or their main room that they meet in at Wilson Hall at MSU. If anybody's out there and wants to confirm or um, you know uh, tell me I'm wrong, let me know. But because it's been so long, but I know those groups are so important for incoming students and those that want to know more about their culture and heritage. So I'm really happy to see that you guys are doing that at Delta College. And Gabby Olivares,
Hmm.
she's part of the Union Civica. She
Yeah,
ran for Queen
yeah.
last year. So it's nice to see that young people are engaged and they're so involved. It's so important that that happens. So, and I want to put a plug in for Christmas with Angels. You're familiar
Oh
with that.
yeah, yeah.
We had our first meeting yesterday, and as I sat around and I looked at the people that have been there for the last 6 years and raised money, which with this year we're going to probably raise enough money to we will have served 1,000 kids in the area
Oh
in the Great Lakes Bay
wow.
region. That's pretty
That's
awesome, huh?
nice. Yeah.
But what I was looking at there was the fact that how do we get younger people engaged with this kind of um, philanthropy, if you will, that gives back to the community in such a big way to help our young kids that are in need during the Christmas holiday. And so we have to figure something. Maybe we can get so involved with
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
because I'll tell you, it's very rewarding to see those
Excellent.
kids opening those gifts on Christmas and knowing that you contribute in a big way by being involved with a community group like Christmas with Angels. So we're gonna have to talk about that. But anyways, I want to talk about the idea. Your career started how long ago in terms of education?
I started at Delta in 1999. I
Girl.
know I hesitated to say that, but and I was part-time, and then I applied for a full-time position in 2000, and it was multicultural office. I was an advisor. So you had to learn a little bit about financial aid, recruitment, applying, advising, just a little bit of everything. And I did that, worked with international students, then Seoul, and then I transitioned as an advisor. And I can remember I felt like getting a bachelor's degree was like, oh my gosh, I'm successful. I did it. I did it. And my boss comes to me and says, you know what? You're really good with students. You should be a counselor. And I'm looking at her like, are you serious? That's a master's degree. So applied for a program and just started taking. I did my first class was a multicultural counseling and multicultural at Central Michigan. And then little by little, got into the program, graduated with that program, and then started doing personal counseling and advisement at Delta. At that point, we had only one Hispanic before me, and she went into teaching full time, and that was Chris Pease Hernandez.
Oh, I remember Christina
Yeah,
Pease.
she's awesome.
She actually went to Michigan State with me.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow, small world.
Yeah.
So, but she hadn't been there for like 10, 15 years. She had been teaching, and then I think she went out to Penn State to teach full time. And then it was just me. And then we brought in a African American counselor too. So it was, I think it's a good experience. I learned a lot. I learned about financial aid a lot. And what's cool is all that experience with financial aid, advising, even working with our community of students, I was able to bring it to the downtown Saginaw Center. So when there's a question, I know, okay, we got to go talk to financial aid, or I know, oh, we need your advisor to prove da da da. So it's nice to bring that. I don't get to do it full time like as an advisor or counselor, but we have a one stop at the downtown Saginaw Center. So when a question arises, we kind of know where to navigate them. Whereas before they didn't have that. So it's been, and I teach part-time too. So I teach college success courses.
Wow.
And that I love that too. So any interaction with students, I enjoy very much. So
Do we have that song Alicia Keys? This girl's on fire, because this girl is on fire. But I wanted to show this flyer here. This is the Dia de los Muertos event that the Soul students are putting on November the 2nd. And if you haven't seen it on Facebook, look for it. It should be a really nice event because it's something that is really taking a hold in the greater community as well now. I can remember when it wasn't talked about too much because they didn't understand it for what it was. And now I think people are getting more and more understanding of it and realizing that it's part of the Hispanic culture of the Great Lakes Bay region. So, it's really, really nice. And the Civica has theirs on that Saturday, November 4th, 2 days later. And I hope everybody wants to come out there. We've got food trucks this year added to it. And, the ofrendas, of course, and tell your students, the Soul students are more than welcome to come out and help us with that day as well. So, but one of the things I wanted to mention before we go into commercial, I want to mention that Monica Hernandez received the Martin Luther King Jr. Award from Saginaw Valley.
It was the fraternity and the community, the partnership. So they had, actually, it was a colleague of mine at Delta that nominated me. I was very surprised. I didn't know. It was John Neal and Wendy Burns.
Oh, okay.
And so that was kind of cool.
And I thought it was awesome because I got the press release. I said, yes, because typically Hispanics, they're not at the forefront of receiving that award during the Martin Luther King celebration that happens every January. And here, Monica was there in your name, and it was just really awesome to see that. I was so happy for you. That's a big award.
Yeah. And I was very honored.
And specifically, because I can't remember the press release, but why were they giving you that award?
Wendy, when she nominated me, and I had served on different committees, different community committees on Delta College, but I had worked with her with diversity projects. We were doing a different initiative, and she said, there's one thing about Monica, she's an advocate for students, and she'll go to bat for them, and it doesn't matter what race, doesn't matter. I mean, if it's not right, she's going to go to bat for them. And I will never forget that statement from her. And I was just doing my it wasn't just a job, I didn't have that advocate when I was a student. I was wandering. And so, when students don't have that support, and it makes a difference when someone cares.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. So Monica Hernandez, that's your maiden name.
Mhm.
Tell me what your family background is here locally, because we usually do that at the top of the hour and find out who my guest is actually. Tell us who Monica Hernandez is.
Okay. So I from the Thumb, and my dad and mom were both migrant workers. My mom was actually a crew leader, and she brought families to the area.
Ah,
And growing up, you hear all these stories. She was fighting with the farmers because they wouldn't give the pay. And my grandpa didn't know English, and she was the oldest, and she would translate a lot. And a lot of the families in the area knew her because she was always trying to make sure they were taking care of the different families. And my dad would always say, man, and my mom she only had an elementary education because they would leave and go work in the fields.
mhm.
And my dad did graduate from high school, Akron Fair Girl. I grew up in Carroll, but he would always make a joke. He's like, man, if she had an education, she'd be a damn good lawyer because she was just always going to bat. Um,
Sounds like Dolores Huerta, because
I saw that movie and I'm like, this reminds me of my mom. I mean, and and my and my dad, I feel like I have my dad's heart. My dad he was amazing. He was in the military and came back. He actually went to Michigan State,
really.
and I didn't know this until he passed. My aunts were telling me that when he got there, he got a football scholarship, but he couldn't read. So he did a semester there and then went into the military. And then shortly after came home, and met my mom, and there's four of us. And I never knew that about him. But my dad is like he's just a friendly man, just very caring, have a heart of gold. And yeah, so that's my mom and dad. And I honestly, if it wasn't for them, I would have never gone to school. I mean, they, it's, they expected it. And my mom pushed it even more because she never had the opportunity.
Hmm.
And so, and all of us have some form of education, whether it's an associate's degree to a master's or a bachelor's degree. And I appreciate them because they were the ones that just planted that seed at a young age. I mean, she even sacrificed. We grew up in a Spanish speaking home. My brother was bilingual. He was failing kindergarten because he would speak in Spanish the response. The teacher didn't know what he was saying. My mom would bring him home and translate. He would get all the answers right. So she sacrificed our language, so we would learn English first.
Hmm.
They spoke Spanish and I can understand it more than can speak it. But she was like, no, you guys are not speaking Spanish. You got to learn English so you can go to school.
And isn't that sad? Because that's a story of so many of us here
I know.
in Saginaw, and we get a lot of flack for that.
I know.
From Spanish speakers that do come here, and they say, "Pues, why don't you understand, and speak fluent Spanish?" And we already get that from the Spaniards from Spain, and so now we get it from those that speak Spanish. But it doesn't make us any less Hispanic or Latino or Mexican American or Latinx. Remember, we went through all those terms, which, by the way, we got to ask you that question because we ask all our guests now.
Okay.
But it's really beautiful to hear your story like that. And I just want to ask, like, what time frame would you say that was when your mom was acting in bringing families to the area?
Well, that was in the middle of like the civil rights, era.
So the 60s?
Yeah, because she would tell me like there were bathrooms for only blacks
Mhm.
and whites, and so we had to use. It was an era where everything, like the movie and Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez. It's true.
It happened.
And like I said, growing up, she would tell us stories and just tell us of her experience. She even had us go and work in the fields so we would understand that I want better for you,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
why your education is important.
Yeah, and there's so many of us that have that same story and can relate, and it's really important that that we recognize that and we remember that, because you are here because of that. I am here because of that, because recruiters went down to Texas or Mexico under the Bracero program, and they
Mm.
brought families here to the state of Michigan because in the early years, so many because men were fighting in the war and they needed workers in the fields, and so that's who they turned to. And then the minute the war was over, they said, go back to your country. That's where that kind of came from. So I mean, there's a lot of history there, and we are the product of that decisions that they made. So the American dream. But anyways, we'll be back. We're going to talk more with Monica Hernandez from Delta College. She's got a lot more to say, and we've got a lot more questions. So stay tuned and no te vayas. Okay, everybody, we are back on social media on the Facebook live feed, and I want everybody to come on in the room and ask of Monica any question that you may have for her, any comments either that you may have. It helps in the show because this is part of your show, Mi Gente on Air, my people, and this is a way that we can find out about those people in the community that are making a difference. And this girl, she sure is. She has for a long time at Delta College, and Delta College is, one of our premier universities in the area that makes this area so great. And we have some good Northwood University, Saginaw Valley State University. What other ones are there?
Ferris State University.
Ferris State in the Great Lakes Bay region. And
Central
CMU,
Michigan,
Central
yep.
Michigan. I mean, there's a lot going on in terms of education. So please come in the room if you can and help us join in this conversation with one of the giants, if you will, of education here in the Hispanic community.
You're listening to Mi Gente on Air on WSGW.
Welcome back, Mi Gente. Welcome back. We're here on Mi Gente on Air, and we're just coming off of Hispanic Heritage Month, even though I celebrate it every day of the year. But Hispanic Heritage Month typically is from September the 15th through October the 15th. And still, Delta College, they had a great program this year for Hispanic Heritage Month. And one of the great events that I saw was that movie was shown for Dolores Huerta. And I thought that was great because I seen that in Lansing when it first came out. And I know Dolores Huerta personally. And you were there when we brought her in 2010 for the Adelante Awards. And there's a picture of you with her. And that, I mean, truly is an icon in our in our international community, but also, for Mexican Americans. I mean, for what she did with the United Farm Workers movement with Cesar Chavez, it was huge, and that she's still alive to tell that story. She's like 93, 94 now, yet she's still vital, and she still has her mind, and it's a beautiful story. And so to show that movie at Delta College, I think is really important because I think every American should see that movie for what it was. So thank you for that, Delta College. And then tell us a little bit about what's still going on and is going to happen this weekend with Hispanic Heritage Month events.
Well, we have an event on Thursday. It's called the Circle of Wisdom, an intergeneration dialogue, and that's going to be at the Downtown Saginaw Center at 11. We are serving light refreshments. Classes will be there, and it'll be a panel of multi-generational community members, and they will explore the importance of Hispanic Heritage Month. And I really, with this program, this event, wanted to emphasize our past, our present, and our future. And I still, after 20 years working with students, I still have students that are like, who's Cesar Chavez, or even who's Dolores Huerta? And so I think that to learn and know about our past is very important. And then what we are doing currently in the community, and looking at young Hispanic professionals and what they're doing, and then our young people, like our college students, their future and their plans, and how we can support it and make ways for them to be successful and to help each other. that's really important. I believe in mentorship. I had mentors in my I was a first I've never been to a master's program in my whole entire life, and then I had no mentorship except for Margaret Mosqueda
No,
was
I was going to say about Dr.
and
Margaret Mosqueda.
yup, and Ray Gutierrez and people around the state from Ausame. I mean, those were my role models, but I didn't even know what role models were until I, got to Delta, and so I really feel that they're important. So that will be this Thursday at the Downtown Saginaw Center at 11 o'clock. And then on Saturday, we're celebrating Tejano music at Delta College's broadcasting, and that's a new they renovated the area, so it's brand new.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful with the waterfall right in front of them. And Mike Mendoza and with some Soul College students, they're going to be on the show just talking about different variety of things and the history of Tejano music. And Mike, he loves his music, and so that should be a great event. And that will be on main campus. And we're going to have bandosa and Mexican chocolate there, and just have a relaxed afternoon and just enjoy everybody's company. So the public's welcome. Encourage if you want to get on the radio too, that might be an opportunity for you.
Will that be during Mike's show, Fiesta
Yes.
Caliente?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to promote all the civic events. No, just kidding. It's funny that you mentioned Dr. Margaret Mosqueda, Ray Gutierrez, and it just seems like it was yesterday when, they were there so, vital in the Delta College experience. And just the years have just gone by so fast, and COVID happened, and then it seems like we're in a whole different era. But I mean, you were part of that, I remember, and Cynthia Reyes, and there was a number of people. But
Dr. Odveden, is now part of our trio program, and
it's just like the time has really jumped for me. It's just like jumped, and we're like 10 years out now, and from that time period, and it just it's vital to make sure that you're living every day to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Because time just flies.
And we now have a new financial aid director, James Hernandez.
Oh, he's at Delta now?
Yeah.
All right. He jumped ship from Saginaw Valley over to Delta, huh? That's great. That's great. Yeah, that's really nice. So, I want to ask my producer, Jonathan Dent, because he is part of the show as well here. And he's young. He doesn't even know the era I'm talking about. But how has Delta been for you as an individual? Because that's what this show, we're trying to promote Delta College and the greatness that it has been for our community. And from your perspective, how has Delta been?
Well, yeah, I went to Delta.
You did?
Yep. I never graduated. COVID kind of shut things down there, but no,
that's how young he is.
No, it was fantastic. I liked. It was easy to get into, and I think that's because of the great work of people like you, Monica. It was very easy to walk through and kind of, okay, here's the next step. Here's what I need to get done. I remember in one of my semesters, I remembered the night before that I had taken AP classes in high school. And I was registered for some classes that I wouldn't have needed to take. So I ran down to the registration office at the time that I was supposed to be in English. Oh. And I was talking with the lady there, and I'm like, I know I got these scores. Can I drop these classes? And yeah. And it was super easy. It was very simple. And that helped me really advance in broadcasting a lot faster, because it's all very smooth and it's very easy. And that's something that I really appreciate about Delta.
Now, was that part of your curriculum, that broadcasting at Delta?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I interned at Q90.1 before it was Delta Public Broadcasting.
Cool.
And I worked there for a short time, and then COVID shut stuff down. So
wow. And here I thought he just came out from where are you from again? Up north by the
Standish.
Yeah, Standish. He came from Standish, came and dropped in on WSGW, and he had a job.
Oh.
No, I just
a little bit of experience before that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's I wish that I had more of communications and broadcasting at Michigan State when I attended. But when you're 18, you don't know what you really want to do, and then they kind of pressure you that, well, by your junior year you got to declare a major or what's going to happen, But in those days when I went to school, it's not when you guys went to school probably, but you finished in 4 years.
Yeah, back then,
or you were
nowadays.
considered, a
Yeah.
loser. And so like you really strive to get your college education, at least your bachelor's, in 4 years. And it 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 was difficult for me because I felt that I should have went into a career, with curriculum in broadcasting
Mm,
and journalism, and
okay.
and here that's what I'm doing. Fortunately, Detroit had a school called Specs Howard Broadcasting School,
Oh, yeah.
and I attended there, and I graduated from there as well. So that's where I got the experience. The experience of splicing tape and all that stuff that they don't even do really too much anymore. But so I was old school coming in, and I got my first job in broadcasting with the AAA traffic reports through the state of Michigan. Can you believe
Nice.
that?
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my background on that. But Delta College has always been wonderful in terms of providing the Fiesta Caliente show
Mm.
with Mike Mendoza. I mean, Mike. Wait, yeah, I did
Mike
say
Mendoza.
Miguel
What a man.
Mendoza because I call him Miguel, Mike, and it goes back and forth. But he's done a wonderful job, and it's been a number of years. I think over 30
Yeah,
years.
it is over 30.
Now, tell me, who's going to do that? Go to Delta College on every Saturday to broadcast for
Right.
30 plus
And he
years
volunteered
and
a
volunteer.
lot.
Yeah. So, but he's really provided that soundtrack for this area when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Tejano radio stations in the area, and he really was the one that kept that going for us all these years. So, kudos to Miguel Mendoza, who, by the way, was my first guest on Mi Gente on Air almost 3 years ago.
Oh,
We're going to be
wow.
celebrating 3 years next month here at Mi Gente on
Congratulations.
Air.
That's
So,
awesome.
but we want to talk about you, Monica Hernandez. Tell me a little bit more what's going on at Delta. Did you go through all the Hispanic Heritage Month events that are coming up?
Yeah, I mean, we're at the tail end, and then we do have Michigan Tech visiting us on Tuesday, and I am the coordinator. It's called Mike Up Internship, and the program is to encourage students of color to pursue STEM fields, and it's an internship that for students that have 24 credits with an overall of a 2.0 at Delta, and they apply for the internship. They gain experience in research. They have faculty that are mentors, and they do activities, of course, not just research throughout the 7 weeks that they're up there, but they leave with $2,500 for any university. You can use it back at Delta, you can use it at U of M, Michigan State, Central. And what's nice about this, you don't have to transfer to Michigan Tech, but there's not a lot of representation of Mi Gente in STEM fields, right? And so it's an opportunity to encourage our students, but then learn how to research. And we did have an individual not from Delta, but it's a partnership with Wayne Community College, Grand Rapids Community College, and Delta. And one student was psych major. He actually got published. So yeah, so it's a great opportunity. A lot of our students don't know about it, but to walk away with $2,500, and it's basically 7 weeks of your time. It starts in May. They always leave on Cinco de Mayo weekend, and they go up there. They spend 7 weeks, and then they come back, and then they're able to use the scholarship money. So,
And you said Tuesday, so a week from today.
yeah, so they're going to be at main campus. We're recruiting students in the hallway from 10 to noon, and then they're wanting to do another program with us because we're a community college with Michigan Tech, a different one. So we're going to be meeting, and then we'll be back at the downtown Saginaw Center recruiting as well. And I'm sending a big blast to all of our students, that may want to take advantage of this opportunity next summer. So
Yeah. Well, I think that's a plus, and we have to move towards that more so that we get more Hispanic kids involved with STEM. Yeah, definitely. So that's wonderful. That's really nice. And one of the things at Delta College recently, I got a press release in regards to the Monumento de la Raza, the sculpture that was relocated. It was a sculpture by the artist that it was beloved here in Saginaw named David Torres. And he was a wonderful individual that did some really incredible work with this Monumento de la Raza. He also did the Scrubbing Bubbles cartoon that you see on Scrubbing Bubbles,
Oh,
believe
I
it or
did
not.
not know
Yeah, that
that.
was David
Oh,
Torres.
wow.
He put up the Eagles at the Soaring Eagle Casino and in the paintings in the ceilings. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
this guy was incredible. He really was. And I'm so glad that this sculpture piece that he did way back, I believe in 1989.
You get it. Yep, 89,
Yeah.
because I was reading
Hmm.
some of the information
They
here.
relocated it to a more prominent spot so that it can be admired by those in the walkway.
Yes.
It's the walk of the sculpture walk at Delta College. And so I know his wife she's still living, Alicia, and I know her and the family must be so happy. The great Torres family, my family and the Torres family picked cherries up in Traverse City. So I mean, it's really, and by the way, David Torres actually lived across from St. Joseph Church. That's where the Torres family lived, and the house is the only house on that one block. It's the only one still standing, and that's where he lived in. The family lived. So, but tell us a little bit about that from your perspective.
Well, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month 2023, this was awesome. So they were developing it's called the Delta Sculpture Walk. Revitalized, and so they moved prominent pieces that were in the courtyard or somewhere in a garden, actually in places that we enter the building. So now you can see it. Like if you go to J-Wing, you see David Torres's sculpture there. And it was kind of, and I didn't even know they had done it. And I'm like, I walk in for a meeting, and I live at the downtown Saginaw Center now, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool, and so that was wonderful. I mean, just recognizing him and what he's contributed to our community and his talent, it was pretty awesome. So, and if they send the Journey magazine out, and in there on page 13, they do a little article on him, as well as page 14. And I was trying to look for some information because I knew we had some information somewhere. I went to the foundation office, and they're like, yeah, it's all right here. So and he was a former student of ours, so it's full circle. So I thought that was cool.
We honored him, I think, in 2017 for the Adelante Awards, and he was inducted into the Hispanic Hall of Fame of Saginaw. Yeah. But, I want to make sure people understand what we're talking about here. He did this sculpture, okay, and it was a stele, they called it, that dates back thousands of years of what he was representing. He was representing the historical marker that was usually in front of Mayan temples. And it was a recording every 10 to 20 years of history. And if you look at the detail of what is now at the walk at Delta College, you'll see so much of our indigenous Aztec and Mayan culture represented. And so many times with that stele that he sculpted, somebody made it, and it was probably David himself that made a graphic design. And you saw that on so many of our prominent booklets for events in the Saginaw community. And I'm talking back in the 70s and the 80s. I'm old enough to remember. And so, that was one of the representations of Hispanics that attended Delta College. They always use that design, that graphic design. And I remember that was my initial introduction to Delta College, was that stele by David Torres. So it's so awesome that in 2023, and he's been gone for a number of years now, probably 15 years or so, but it's nice to see that his work is being honored in that way. And what greater way than to put it in a prominent place, in the walkway where everybody can see it and be reminded, of the importance of not only his work and his being such a great artist in drawings as well as in paintings, but also in sculpture, but the idea that he was trying to present his heritage and culture to the greater masses. And he also did a beautiful mural over at Saginaw Valley State University. When they built the Ryder Center, they knocked that building down, so the mural went with it. But that's the mural that you see at Saginaw Valley on the second floor in the Curtis Hall area. But they had it at the Morley Plaza, remember, up on the building, the Citizens Bank building.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
And when you would have Friday Night Live, that mural was a replica of David Torres's work.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
How do I know all this stuff? No. But anyways, David was such a great artist, and he was hired by, big companies and Dow. He would do he did the original artwork for the Saginaw Civic Center, which was the Saginaw Civic Center is now the Dow Event Center.
Yeah.
But if you look at all the marketing materials for that building when it first opened many years ago, he actually was the artist that did that work for that. And then the scrubbing bubbles, the little with the big eyes that goes down the drain,
Yeah.
that was David Torres who
I did not
did
know that.
that. Yeah.
That's
So I mean,
wow.
and I'm just thinking of the ones that come off my head, but there was so much more that he accomplished and he did in his lifetime. And sadly, we lost him. But he was one of the great artists. I mean, truly one of the great artists. And I remember in the opening of the video that I did for him for the Adelante Awards, I talked about, Frida Kahlo and Salvador Dali. And we had our own here, David Torres, in the Saginaw Great Lakes Bay community. So that's really wonderful. So I'm so glad that, they put that even in their brochure, their journeys for Delta College, because I was happy to see that press release. And I just know that the family and his kids are beaming with pride with what he had accomplished and did, and then he's still being talked about here in 2023.
That's nice.
So yeah, we need to do something with the soul kids to make sure that they are aware and know.
Yeah, I know.
that.
I was just like, wow. And I had heard a little bit about it, but I was just so excited when I walked into Delta. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I actually took pictures. And then we have a Facebook and an Instagram. So we have one of the students put stuff on there, but it was just really nice. I felt proud.
Yeah, that's what it makes me feel good too. Well, I want to make sure that we do. We're inclusive of some of our listening audience, and I had to put on my glasses, which I hate putting on. But Ricardo Quintanilla, he says, very grateful for local college connections with Saginaw's Latino community, and Delta has done a great job in fostering that connection. Thank you, Mr. Quintanilla. Val Blanca, she says, a good number of our queens and their court have been a part of SOUL, Society of Hispanic Leaders. And we like to acknowledge and say thank you for leading and molding these young women into strong role models for our next generation. The Civica, the Union Civica, looks forward to having you and the SOUL a part of our Cinco de Mayo each year. Thanks again.
You do a great job of putting that on, and all my colleagues that come out, they're so impressed. I mean, we had some people from the States, Allison Ginter and her family came out, but it's kind of cool to bring the faculty and staff that work on main campus, because we're always talking about all the things we're doing, and they come out like, oh wow, the food's great, and then just they like it. So
yeah, and we really upped our food trucks that are
yeah,
there.
that
So you really had a variety this year.
yes.
But isn't that wonderful how you walk into this event and there's so much chaoticness going on, and it's all culture related, whether it's the vendors selling the Mexican products or the dancers or the food trucks or people running the kids. I mean, it's a wonderful event. But do you see more young people from the Latino community pursuing education, say, than when you first started 24 years ago?
I do. And this is across the United States. It's the retention and completion rate, and that's something that Dr. Gavin has really emphasized in our Delta College community. Is how do we recruiting them and getting them here is great, but then we have to sustain them.
Yes.
We have the Saginaw Academy of Excellence program at the Downtown Saginaw Center, and they're dual enrolled students, but it's a cohort with SASA, Saginaw High, and Arthur Hill.
Wow.
And in the classes they're taking is for something we call the Michigan Transfer Agreement. It's a stamp of general ed, and we're finding that sustainability that I'm talking about, those time management skills, those study habit skills, that transition, that they're transitioning, and so it's new to them, and they kind of struggle because this is college, it's not high school.
Right.
And it's a great opportunity because after they leave this program, they'll graduate from high school and at least have 30 credits completed successfully. But we're definitely having, I thank God for my experience, because I'm able to pull from my class those study habits, those, this is how you communicate with your instructor. And you need to, they're not used to that. Like it's a different culture in college. How do you retain that information? How do you study? And these kids really, what I like about them is that they want to be there. Like that's half the battle sometimes. And then
Yeah.
the academic stuff, we can come in and bring the teaching and learning center and the writing center to help you. But when you say, going back to your initial question, do you find more Latinos going to school? Yes, but I really feel strongly it's so important to have that mentorship because they know where the resources are. Here you can, if you're struggling in this class, guess what? You can go to teaching and learning center. And now, we haven't left virtual. Virtual is still there. You can go on Make Campus. We have tutors there on Tuesdays and Thursday. They now have academic coaching for that transition. We have the writing center every Friday if you need someone to edit your paper, and it's at the downtown Saginaw Center. But that mentorship is important because I had no guidance. I really felt like I was wandering. I really did. And if it wasn't for thank God for my parents that just all they knew is to keep pushing me. It's like, this is good for you. Find help. Go talk to people, and if I feel that mentorship, they'll guide you a little bit to provide some of that support, even if it's just texting it. So students are they're in their clinicals for nursing, and I'll text them. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard." And I'm like, "Just you got this. Just si puede."
Si se puede. Yes, it is. And then you're right. It's so important to have those mentors. So if you're out there and you're listening to this program, Mi Gente on Air, think about who you may be mentoring in your life, because there's a lot of people, young people, old people, in between people. They need that mentoring on a daily basis. So I want to thank again Monica Hernandez from Delta College. She's a wonderful individual. If you are a parent and you want your kids to go to Delta and be involved in the STEM program that they've got offered, that they're trying to bring more Hispanics to, please give her a call. Give her a call if you got any questions in terms of admissions or anything like that, because she does a wonderful job. Thank you so much,
Thank
Monica.
You, Larry.
So
I appreciate you.
It's wonderful to have you and seeing you doing so well. So thank you, everybody. Until next week. Hasta luego. And there you have it, another show edition of Mi Gente on Air. And it's so wonderful to have Monica Hernandez here. I've known her for so many years, and I've always been on the sidelines cheering her and thinking every time I seen her do great things, I would see her involved with the ALSAME conference. And I don't even know what that stands for anymore, but
Advocates for Student Leadership, Latino Leadership in the state of Michigan.
yes, and it's really nice because they have a group of individuals from different colleges throughout the state of Michigan. That's where I was going when we were actually naming all the different colleges, because I like Flo Hernandez over at Michigan State University now, and and it's a really good day if you spend it at the ALSAME conference, because you learn so much. And I know that was one of the a similar conference that pushed me to say, you know what, you can go to college too, so many years ago. But anyway, so thank you again, Monica, for being here today and being that advocate for our students in the community.
Thank you.
And say hi to Dr. Pam for me.
Oh, I will. She's amazing.
Yes, she is. So, all right, everybody, thank you again for tuning in to another edition of Mi Gente on Air. And if you've got any ideas or anyone you think could be a great guest here on the show, please message me, let me know, and continue on in this great world that we are living in. Even though it's difficult at times, you can do it. Si se puede.
And don't be afraid to stop at the downtown Saginaw Center. We have a one-stop, so we help students apply to their financial aid to get registered for schooling. So any questions, even with the STEM program, the MICA program, please feel welcome to come and stop by and ask questions. We'll provide the support that you need.
Yeah, and they have a writing program there where they help edit.
So, the Writing Center.
The Writing Center, are they going to help me in editing my stories in Mi Gente magazine? Do I get free service for that? Or do you have to be adult to college? You can't be an alumni of MSU? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's great. So the downtown campus, if you haven't been there, go see it just for the beauty of the building, because it's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Jonathan, anything from you?
Nope.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much again for tuning in to Mi Gente on Air. Muchísimas